was Stalin a fascist? It's worth talking about.
I think that's mostly for you, Jeff. You seemed pretty obsessed with that particular topic.
Okay, so he is interviewed by this journalist Paxton, and the guy actually asks him the question was how wasn't Stalin and Hitler's regimes like pretty much the same thing, basically implying that like there was a lot of similarities, but obviously this even comparing the two is fundamentally trivially stupid, right? Because the Stalinist regime was the ultimate radicalization of a left project, and fascism, obviously, ultimate radicalization of a far right project. Not only were the realities on the ground utterly, night and day of the two, in the sense that the Soviet Union, obviously, huge nationalization of key industries, made capital subservient completely to the state. And although you see some of the some similarities in terms of like the purging of political enemies and tactics of like authoritarianism, you don't have the same like basis in terms of the whole point of the project from from the start, right? Stalinism also a project of socialism, communism. That's an idea. It's itself a political ideology, right? That carries through the development of the USSR through Lenin and then into Stalin with like a coherent goal in mind the whole time, right? To eventually abolish the state and abolish classes. Whereas fascism, if Stalinism and Leninism, the goal of that was ultimately, despite its failings, to establish equality for everyone, right? The ultimate goal of fascism was the complete opposite, right? Like hierarchy at all costs, maintaining rigid domination. That's another thing that fascism, that essay talks about, is inherent in fascism is the disdain for anyone on the next rung down from you on the ladder, right? Like you always have to be hating whoever is slightly lower than you in society. And we'll post that essay to the show notes as well. So obviously, Stalinism, fascism, very few similarities, but
that's like a classic sort of liberal conservative thing of looking at the superficial similarities between two authoritarian systems, right? And just sort of like trying to attribute to it the same ideology, or yeah.